welcome back to episode 115 of Talkoffamepod podcast with their host, Kyliemontigney. I'm so excited to have on actress, motivational speaker, best-selling author, girlpreneur, and voice actor, Arianna Fox. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, so you have come out with three books called The Princess Chronicles, Not Your Average Princesses, False Awakening, and Celebrity Black. What inspired you to write these books, and what do you want people to take away from them when they read it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first book, I was inspired to write that when I was about 4 years old, and I thought to myself, I want to be an author when I grow up. And I told this to I told this to my parents, and they were, instead of saying, "Oh, that's brilliant, yeah, we'll figure that out in a few years or whatever," they were like, "Wait, why when you grow up? Why wait? Why not start now?" And so because of that, then at around 6.5 years old, I decided to start writing. And so I wrote The Princess Chronicles because I wanted a children's book for young people, especially girls, to learn important things that a lot of times young children are not learning, like, manners
Mhm.
and being polite and important qualities like teamwork and trust and honesty and friendship. And so I wanted to sort of use these princesses as a way to say, hey, nobody's perfect, not even these princesses, they still have to learn. And that's why it's called Not Your Average Princesses too. And so that was that. And then I got much more into novel writing. And so around goodness, so that was published at around 10 years old, and then around 12ish is when I started writing and also finished my book False Awakening. Is it a dream or reality? And it that is a sort of a story about this man who is in a dream within a dream within a dream, and he joins a rebellion and fights against an evil tyrant. So it's a sci-fi young adult, well, it's really for anybody, but it's a sci-fi novel. And it's kind of like if you take the Matrix and Inception, you put them together. But the thing that inspired me for that was mainly actually lucid dreaming. I was looking up lucid dreaming on a site, and I thought to myself, oh, this is so cool. And then I learned what an actual false awakening was, which is basically when you're asleep and then you think you wake up, but you're actually not waking up. It's just a dream of you waking up. So I thought that was a really, really interesting idea. And my parents were like, you have to write this as a book. And I'm like, okay, I will do that. Then shortly after, at probably about 13 or so, I started writing my next book, which is Saber Black. And so Saber Black is a young adult fantasy slash sci-fi about a girl with wings, where living in a world where everybody has wings, and the good guys are called Sarahs and the bad guys are called Sendars. But the thing is, the main character, she is born a Sendar but fights for the Sarahs. So is she good? Is she bad? Is she both? That sort of thing. So she has to find, who she should fight for and her identity. And I think that's a really big topic amongst people these days is what should I be fighting for? What should I, be, what should I be supporting? What should I, what do I believe?
Mhm. Yeah, like what made you kind of passionate about like what girl empowerment and all those things and kind of writing about it?
Well, I am of the opinion that everybody should be empowered, and I'm always trying to inspire people no matter what, no matter who. And so, ever since I was young, that was just a big, big passion of mine, is just to inspire people, no matter what. And so I that's kind of along the lines of when I said I wanted to be an author, I also mentioned, okay, I really want to inspire people. And so the problem was when I was younger, I just did not have a lot of an opportunity to be able to do that. I didn't know a lot of people to inspire. And the people that I did know, I'm just like, no, they don't need inspiration. And so it took a very, very, very long time until it became, uh, uh, it came to fruition. And when around, I would say probably about 12 or so years old, when my parents woke me up one morning, they're like, what if you became a motivational speaker? And I'm like, that's perfect, because that culminates with the passion that I had. So yeah, absolutely. I've always loved to inspire.
That's amazing. Like how has like your parents really impacted like your journey in terms of motivational speaking, writing books and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. They have, oh my goodness, they have inspired so much and supported so much. I think that I definitely wouldn't have gotten to where I am right now if not for them. They were the ones who told me why wait and blew my mind away because I thought you had to wait until you were 18 or 21 to do what you wanted to do.
Mhm.
And so they blew my mind away at that. But then, it's just amazing. They with my writing, they loved hearing my writing when I wanted to share it. But they also provided good constructive criticism and, and helped me become better in my craft.
I love that. Like, how long did it take for you to kind of like write your books and everything like that? Because I know it takes like a long time to like kind of write your book. So I was wondering like how long does it usually take for you to write the books?
That's a great question. I would say it depends on the book because The Princess Chronicles took me a very, very small amount of time because it's just a children's book, probably like a few weeks or a month. But The False Awakening, that took me probably about a year. That I started writing it when I was around 12 and published it around the end of the year, I think. So just only about a year. But Saber Black took me a while. That took me probably about 2 or 3 years, I think. And so that took me a while because it is actually a very big book. It has a lot of pages, but it's a very it just depends on how long you take to work on the plot, how long it takes to write it, how long the book is going to be. I actually have another I have been featured actually in two anthologies. I actually have them both with me. I don't know where the yeah, I don't know where the other one is, but I am in a really, really awesome anthology called Young Changemakers, and that is by Christy Maggio. And it's a wonderful book about all kinds of different people who are young and who are, well, change makers, and they're doing great things, and different articles and stuff like that that we have written. And then also the other one is behind me on this bookshelf full of classic books, but I'm also featured in the what is it? The 32nd volume, I guess, of the MX book of new Sherlock Holmes stories, which is an extremely, extremely cool anthology for people who are into Sherlock Holmes and rote pastiches, which are basically copying the style of the original author of Sherlock Holmes, which is Arthur Conan Doyle. So I had to research a lot. So that one took me probably about a month because I had a very, very hard deadline for that. But I needed to actually probably less than a month. It was from around December 20th to January 10th-ish, so around that amount. But I needed to do a lot of research for that. So it just depends. I would say to any author, it depends on first of all, if you do have a deadline to submit it, like for both of the anthologies I did, whereas for my regular published books, it was a little bit less of a deadline. If you and then also the other thing is if you how much time it takes to come up with the storyline, the characters, and then you'll always have that part in the middle. I was just
Mhm.
telling this to an acquaintance of mine, that she was like, "Oh no, help! I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm not feeling my book anymore. I'm not passionate for it anymore and stuff." And she's like, "I want to fall in love with my story again." And I told her, well, everybody, has these moments, and especially towards the middle where it gets really hard. And
Mhm.
it is really hard to write your book around that point, and so it's important to just push yourself, and you will eventually come to love it again. But yeah, sometimes it takes it takes a lot of dedication and determination to write a book. So to any authors who are listening, or any want to be authors who are listening, don't give up even when it
Mhm.
when it feels like you should.
Exactly. And like I've been like writing a book since like early this year, January, and I'm like, now I only wrote two chapters, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, I don't have the motivation to kind of write.
Yeah.
Like I'm working on it, but this like to figure out what I want to talk about and what I want to do is like the hardest part to write. Like I'm always like get stuck in what I do. Like, how did you kind of find the courage for that? Like, kind of get like find motivation in what you're doing.
Yeah, I love that question. And it's funny because in the there's a very popular teenage writing community in Instagram. And so I am slightly a part of it, not entirely because I don't have a solely writing account, which makes me a little bit off from the rest of them, but it's really interesting because I get to look at the inner workings of that community. And it's funny because a lot of the authors there, they're great people, they're great writers, but a lot of them talk a lot about inspiration and motivation, and oh, I don't have the motivation to write this or write that. And I just remember thinking to myself when I saw those, like, okay, but if I didn't write when I didn't have motivation, then I wouldn't be published right now. So a
Mhm.
lot of times it's not about having the motivation. Sometimes you have to make your own motivation. I know that's easier said than done, but
Mhm.
a lot of times that's what's necessary. If you are trying to write this book and you just or do whatever it is that you want to do, and then you feel like you just, oh, I don't have any inspiration or motivation to do it, either force yourself to keep writing or work on another important aspect like the plotting or the characters or develop a backstory, do something else that's important for this story. Or or if you have been working yourself too hard and then you're feeling this burnout, then it is important to take breaks for sure.
Mhm.
But I just think that it's just a good delicate balance. If you're working too hard, then take breaks. But if you're not working at all because you feel unmotivated, then I'm sorry to tell you this, but it may never come.
Yeah.
The motivation may never come, and then you'll never write your book. And I want you to write your book. And so, I just think that it's really important to recognize that you have to make your own motivation sometimes and just continue
Mhm.
on even when it doesn't feel like a piece of cake.
Yeah, and so you have created your own business called Big Ideas Kid Coaching. Can you tell us more about like what the business is about?
Absolutely. So when that one night or morning actually when I was 12 years old that I told you guys about when my parents said, "Hey, what if you became a motivational speaker?" That was right around the time that we decided, "Ooh, we should make this a business and do something with this, not just be a motivational speaker, but have a business to inspire people on a professional level." And that's kind of exactly what we ended up doing because my parents are business owners as well. We've had a family business for many, many years, ever since my daddy was working at a news paper publication as in the graphic design area, and then the entire graphic design department got bought out by this big company that was taking over. And so basically tons of people were out of jobs, and including my daddy. So we were like, okay, what do we do? Let's just take a leap of faith and start our own business. And so that my parents started a graphic design business to help other entrepreneurs and business owners to get their graphics and their logos, websites and social media and all that kind of stuff. And we still have that going today. So because of that happening ever since I was young, we've always just kind of had an entrepreneurial mindset. So when my parents suggested being a motivational speaker, it was a perfect idea to kind of join that with on the entrepreneurship aspect. So Big Ideas Kid Coaching in its simplicity is a business to inspire people on a professional level. This includes motivational speaking, coaching for kids, the books that I write, and any other way that I can.
Yeah, I love that. And so like along with like what you said before, your kind of mission is to give a positive impact upon others and help them rock their lives to a maximum potential part of their upcoming kid renewers goal for their interaction with their kids. Why do you think like it is so important to show that in like today's society and our generation?
That is an awesome question. I would say that it's really important because there's so much negative um how do I say, there's so much negativity these days in the youth, in teenagers and adolescents and even kids. There's so much negativity being pushed and promoted over and over that I want to influence people positively. There are always these songs that are becoming popular that are about, very negative concepts instead of things that are actually inspiring and uplifting.
Mhm.
And and there are, and there are people, role models that kids look up to, that are celebrities that, in my opinion, are not very good role models.
Mhm.
They're not people that you should be looking up to. And so, what I kind of want to do is be a positive role model for people. Kids look at other kids and they say, "Ooh, they're doing this and they're doing that." So if people can look at me and say, "Wow, she's written 3 books and she's a girl entrepreneur and a motivational speaker and a voiceover actress and an actress and teen influencer and all that at 16 years old, then I can, wow, I can do anything. What's stopping me?" And so I want people to be able to really see that. And I want them to be, like I said, positively influenced, as opposed to being just caught in the swirling whirlpool of negativity that there is out there. So
Yeah, exactly. And that's the most important thing. And I've been like at only 16 years old, I am basically doing all these things that really no other teenage girls our age are doing. Like, do you see, like, obviously there's many people that are doing amazing things like being a voice actor or creating the organizations and stuff, but they're like in their late 20s or 30s or whatever age they are, and you rarely see young girls our age really creating their businesses. And like I only
exactly.
started this podcast at 14 and created my organization at 15. So it's like you like to see like other girls our age really creating an impact and being positive role models is seriously the best thing in the world.
You're so right. I love that. It's great to
And
meet a kindred spirit.
mhm. And so you have created Teen Topics radio show. Like what kind of led you into starting a show?
Well, that's a really good question. I created that originally, yeah, originally when it was a radio show actually on the radio. There was a somebody that we knew that uh was able to kind of host the back end of having a radio show, and I could be kind of like the front end host. So I started Teen Topics when it was on air, and then a while later a lot of things happened with that, and just the person who was hosting back end was not really doing the best job. So I was trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? There's a guest coming up, next month, and and I want to still have them on and not tell them, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're not doing this anymore." So I let it into an Instagram live. I had no idea how that was going to go because I had never done one before. And so I did that, and it worked out really, really well. So for many, many months after that, I did Instagram live Teen Topics, and it was phenomenal. But what it is essentially a way that, just like how it's basically like what's going on right now, how you're interviewing me.
Mhm.
That's what I would be doing with other amazing kids and young people who are just doing great things. So I would ask them questions about what got you into this and what would do that, and just let the spotlight fall on them, because there are so many amazing people that are doing some wonderful things, just like yourself. Like if if I still had it going, but which we don't, because there are a lot of our life is very hectic, and I'm doing a
Mhm.
lot of other things. But if I did still have it going, you would be one of the next guests for sure. It's
Oh,
amazing to
thanks.
to see you're welcome. But yeah, no, it was great, and it's still, a lot of the episodes are still available on my Instagram, which is cool. But yes, that's what started it, and
Yeah, it's like amazing. Like what guests have you had on your podcast? Like on the radio show, either like when you were recording in the studio or on Instagram Live.
yeah, definitely. I've had a lot of great people. I've had a few young actresses. I had this one person who was extremely cool. She actually lives here in Delaware, and she does, let's see, ballet, opera singing. She plays flute and piano and all kinds of other things, and so very, very musically gifted. So I had her on, and then also I had several business owners on, a few adults as well, a lot of entrepreneurs and young kidpreneurs. There's a big community that not a lot of people know about, of kidpreneurs, and so I
Mhm.
had a lot of those on. I had one that she sells slime, I think. I had like to play with. I had another entrepreneur on who had some, let's see, what was it? Let's see, who did a little fashion boutique thing. And I had one guest on who was phenomenal. He's actually our age as well, but he had a piece, like a little tiny percentage of a stock of Disney, and now he is going everywhere with things. He is an entrepreneur, and he's doing some great stuff. He got to meet Gary Vaynerchuk not too long ago. Yep, and is doing some things over, I think maybe overseas. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I just I love seeing it. Inspires me so much to see other kids and teens who are doing phenomenal things. So absolutely, all of my guests are just, I mean, they're amazing, and I just want to give them all the props in the world because they're
Mhm.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like to see someone like so young and already crushing it. Like it's so amazing to see other people our age crushing it because it's very rare to see people very young already crushing it with what they do.
Exactly, I totally agree.
And so like what can we like expect from you in 2023?
Oh, good gracious. Well, hopefully many more voiceover work. I know we didn't really touch into that too much, but I've done a lot of voiceovers that I'm really honored and blessed to say I've done. For things from like Taco Bell, Old Navy, Amazon, Plato's Closet, and um St. Jude's Children's Hospital, Marriott Hotel, I think, and Sky Zone, plenty of other things. So it's been such a phenomenal journey, and even doing the video games that I've done as well. It's just it's extremely fun to do voiceover work, and I cannot wait to do more of that next year for sure. Hopefully, I'll have written or published another book. We'll see where things go because I'm because of everything else. It's kind of you have to juggle it, but I do have two things in particular that I am sort of working on, and we'll see which I keep telling people, "Oh, we'll see which finishes the race first, which hits the finish line first." And then also hopefully learning more languages. I am a huge language enthusiast. I love languages. I taught myself Spanish, and then ended up getting a certificate of fluency with McGraw-Hill University. So that was really fun. And then right now I'm actually learning Scottish Gaelic in the hopes that next year I can be fluent and I can actually speak at in a very big event in Pennsylvania actually called a MOD, which is a big event where a lot of people speak Gaelic. So really exciting. Just trying to keep doing what I'm doing now and keep inspiring people. That's really the whole goal. So if I can do that more in 2023, then that's it for me right there.
Me and you both. Like that's the most important thing is obviously like keep doing what you're doing. It really grows a person. Like you don't go far unless you really grow and working hard at your things.
I agree.
And so
100%.
yeah, and like I wanted to talk to you. Like you are a national award winner with acclaimed National Federation of Press Women and multi-award winner with the Delaware Press Association. Like what was like your reaction on receiving those awards?
Um Honored. Absolutely honored because I think that it's amazing. A lot of these actually, I think both of the ones that you just mentioned are ones that are mostly for adults. So, I think that for either one, or but I believe it was both. I was probably the one of the youngest award winners. In fact, one of them I know for certain because I took a picture with the one who was the oldest award winner there, and he's, oh my goodness, what a legend. I hope he's still doing okay. But yeah, it was so fun, the youngest and the oldest. But no, I was just so honored and so blessed to be able to have that, that have those awards. And it's, to me, it's less about having awards and more about the recognition that it's so sweet that people, see what I'm doing and see that I'm, trying to inspire people. And I think that that's just so heartwarming to me. And then one of my favorite ones was actually I won the uh Youth on the Rise award for Achi. It's a really cool organization called Achi Awards, and one of the reasons why I mentioned it is because for that one I actually got to do a speech, so I got to kind of transform that into a little bit of a mini motivational speech, and that was really fun. So yeah, any way that I can continue that thing I was telling you about of motivating and energizing. I think that that's kind of the biggest goal there. So if I can do that by saying, hey, I have these awards at 16 years old, I had them actually around more like I had them also around 15 or 14, then, what's stopping you? So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And so like I want like the final question I have for you is what is some advice for people who are just kind of starting out in industry that kind of want to make a difference?
Could you repeat the question? People who are starting out that want to
Like make a difference.
make a difference. Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that first of all, I'm glad that you want to. Do not let anybody or anything put out that fire. Keep going and keep pushing. And don't give up. That's a big one right there. Never give up. This is another thing that is unfortunately easier said than done. I have had experience, however, in wanting so hard to give up on something, but then realizing, you know what, I shouldn't, and my parents helped me realize this as well, that it's important to never ever give up on what it is that you love doing. And so I say that even when things get hard, which they will, I am going to tell you that because I am not one of those rainbows and sunshine people. I do like to tell you practically that it will get hard, but when it does, don't give up because it is so worth it to stick through it to the end. And that's another thing is yes, it will get hard and you will have to work hard for it. That's a big thing because a lot of people these days are being told that they can just be handed success on a silver platter,
Mhm.
and that's what they're getting. That's the vibe they're getting from even celebrities these days, and it is just it's not, it's not true. A lot of the celebrities are saying that, but they actually had to work hard for it. So remember that nothing just gets handed to you. You're not entitled to anything. Just remember that you do have to work for what you want, and it is worth it. It is so worth
Exactly. And like even though you have to like if you want to make it out in this especially in entertainment, like you have to work hard to get where you are because this industry is so hard to be in, trust me. And I worked hard to the point where I can't sleep at night. Like that's where to the point where I can't. Like it's just like even though you are working hard and you might think like, oh my God, I'm not going anywhere. Trust me, that's just part of the process. You're not going to be
Yes.
famous overnight. Trust me, that's what I had to learn. Like I thought I was gonna be famous or something, be big overnight, and that was hard for me to realize. Like I want to have a platform. I want to be known. I want to talk to new people. Or like I just like it's like it just takes time to realize that things don't happen overnight, but they if you work hard enough, you will get there.
Exactly. I love what you just said. It's like the old saying that says Rome wasn't built in a day. It's like,
Mhm.
things just aren't that you don't get overnight famous. It reminds me of this one little like picture slash illustration that I saw that it had an iceberg. And you know how they always say that like I believe 70% of the iceberg is underwater and
Mhm.
30% is seen. So, it had a picture of an iceberg from both angles, from up top above the surface and below. And it had the 30% up above and it said, success and fame and all that. And below it said, sleepless nights and,
Mhm.
working hard for hours and all that kind of stuff. It's like what people don't see is all the hard work that it took to get
Mhm.
to where you are. They just see the success and the fame.
Yeah.
So don't be discouraged when you see people that are either your age or even just people in general that are succeeding and being amazing. I know that some people get inspired by seeing other amazing people. Unfortunately, I'm actually not one of those people myself. I'm one of those people that get kind of discouraged when I see other people who are doing great things. I'm
Yeah,
like,
me
oh,
too.
come.
Me too. I'm the same
Exactly.
exact way. I'm like
Why?
happy, but then I'm like, come on, like
Exactly. I'm like, wow, that's so great for you. Oh man.
yeah, it's
But
like one
it's
side you're like happy, the other side you're like discouraged. Like, come on.
exactly. And and so I just want to let the people know that are like that, don't be discouraged.
Mhm.
What a lot of times you see the final result, but you don't see what it took to get to that result. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you so massive thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm literally so happy to have you on. You're amazing. I'm so happy me and you were able to figure this out and make a time for this. And I hope you have amazing holidays and the rest of 2023, 2022. And like, yeah, I
And
can't
thank
wait to
you.
see all that you do in 2023. And we'll definitely talk soon. Thanks so much for coming on, Ariana.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kylie. I greatly appreciate it. And it's been an absolute honor.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Talk to you soon.